Okay, so today's video is about creating a section and a sectional perspective for detailing. Okay, so now what I have here is a house project, an intermediate terrace house. You can see that it's still a work in process. So, but the thing is, we're going to share with you some quick techniques so that you not necessarily have to finish it, finish 3D modeling. We don't always have the luxury of time to finish everything perfectly. Of course, that would be an ideal situation, but how we can use whatever we have. Sometimes, you have like a deadline for submission, for competition. So how can we make use of the whatever that we have to quickly to be able to generate drawings, in this case, a section and sectional perspective, as well as a detail call out of it. Okay, so as long as you have a 3D model, that will be good enough. What we want to share with you first is some good habits and workflows. The technique that we're going to use for the sectional perspective will be called the clipping plane. Okay, there's another technique in which you can split the model, which I can also share with you now, but I personally feel that the clipping plane is better, and I will just show it to you now. Okay, so if you want to use the split technique, what you need to do is you have to draw a plane. Okay, so I usually draw a plane like so. So just click on this and just click on first point here. So maybe I want to cut a long section across the side. Okay, so I click here and then I can go to this view, click here, tab to lock and then go here. Okay, you have to make sure that your entire surface cuts through the 3D model. Okay, and then okay, I'm just going to use another option here because this one has a lot of geometry. Let's use this, which is simpler. Okay, so then you will just type split. Objects to split will be your building, enter, and then cutting objects will be this new plane. Okay, so first and foremost, it takes time because you need to cut the geometry. You will end up having two separate sets of geometries, which I will show you in a while. The benefits of this is that you can manipulate those split geometries later on to whatever that you want in terms of drawing a diagram or rotating the views, so on and so forth. Okay. So yes, you can see it takes some time, which you may not have the luxury of time, especially when you are rushing to complete your submissions. So that's why, as I said earlier on, the second option and the original intent, which is to show you how to do a clipping plane, is still my preferred workflow to share with you. Okay, I guess this is a bit too time consuming. I'm just going to cancel it and I'll just show you how to split it just with a very simple geometry, because you can see here it's already hanging, not very good as a technique, especially if you are rushing for submissions. Okay, Time for the good old killing of Rhino. Yep. Okay, so I will open up Rhino again. Okay. Anyways, this is the file. Okay, so I will just change this to, like I mentioned, option 2 instead. And I'll just show you how I can use this more smartly to maybe just split only one portion of the model instead of the whole thing. Okay, so let me just go to a simple perspective view here. Okay, okay. So here, what I was showing you was I created a plane from here to here, and then go up and to the end here. Okay, and now what I want to split will be just this double volume space here. Okay, and then I just type split. So you should choose what you want to split, and then you choose the splitting object, which is this thing. And this one should be much faster because it's just a couple of geometries. Yeah, so it's done. What you need to do now is you can move your geometry away like so. And it should have split into two. Yes, so you can go up and I can choose half of it like so and move it aside. Okay, and then with this, you can do your diagram. For example, if I just want to do a spot detail, okay, I can zoom, select it, and then I can set a view, which is an isometric view, and draw the detail uh, from this portion over here. Okay, while using the same techniques that I will share with you later on. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to undo the split. So it's still one continuous surface. Let me just go to shaded. Okay, so this is my model. Okay, so I'm going to share with you this workflow called clipping plane. So first, to be organized, create a new layer. And I'm going to call this my clipping plane. Make this the active layer. Double click here. And then what I do is I will, okay, I just want to see this thing here. I'll select that and then type ZS, zoom selected. And I want to create a clipping plane here on the plan, type clipping plane, enter. So first point, okay, I just want to cut it in between half of it. Okay, and then I'm gonna choose 3 point. Select here, and then I'll go up on top here. Okay, that's gonna adjust it down so that it covers also like the pseudo basement here. And you'll realize that I have now cut in my top view here, but it doesn't really cut in this parallel view. Let's change this to perspective. Okay, And now, yes, it doesn't cut. So what I need to do is I have to select the clipping plane, go to the properties, and I have to make sure that instead of the top view, I'm choosing perspective. Then it will cut over here. Okay. Of course, if you say you want to also cut in the top view, that's fine for both. You can do multiple clipping planes. You also can have multiple clipping planes for your diagram. So say, for example, you don't only just want to cut here, right? I want to also create another clipping plane. So now I'm going to type clipping plane again. I'll just click here to here, corner to corner. Okay, so this is my other clipping plane, right? And it's clipping in the perspective. I can shift it up. So you can see here, I can just cut both on this side and this side. So depending on what you want to achieve with your drawing, so this is quite nice, right? Very nice to be able to have this opportunity to create this kind of diagrams. Okay, but for today, I'm going to concentrate just to do like kind of a view here. And you realize that it doesn't really look very flat. It depends on how you rotate. So the trick to this is that you should go to the front view for this particular project, right? So this looks flat as of now. You can go to properties, and now what you need to do is you're going to click on this and choose perspective. Okay, and now when you look here, you can see that it still retains the flatness. You can zoom in and zoom out, it won't affect the flatness of it. But you can adjust your views accordingly. You can also pan and move around. Click to drag to pan. Okay. I have to unlock it, sorry. So pan, and then you can move around. Okay. So what is good practice is, of course, like what I did just now is to lock the view. I can go back to parallel. See, this is flat. And pan to what I want first, or also to zoom to what I want first. I can drag a window, something like this. Parallel first. So then you type zoom, select just this portion here. Okay, so this is what I want. And then I lock it and I make it into perspective. Oops, I have to make it into perspective first, then I lock it. Yes. Okay, so this would be the view that I want. I can still zoom in here. Okay, and then I lock it. Okay, perfect. So one good way is that we also want to be able to uh, save this view. Let me just pan a bit because the basement here is okay, kind of like that. Okay, then I will lock it. So technically, while locking it, you won't be able to shift out of this view. But an even safer way is you could just go to here, click this, and you can save a view. And I can just call this my sectional perspective. So this gives you flexibility just in case you accidentally unlock the viewport, right? Like so, and you can just double click this and then double click here to return to this viewport. Okay, so having said that, why I want to create a clipping plane layer is I can now switch this off. So I don't see my clipping plane anymore. If I want to shift my clipping plane, I switch it back on again. And then I can like move this along and adjust, right? Okay. So, but I don't need to do the adjustments now. I'm going to switch this off. I'm going to go back here. Okay. So you have this drawing. It's nice. What if you want to have the section cut exactly where we have our clipping plane? So that's where you have to do this, create a new layer. This is my section layer now. Make this active. And I want to type section. Choose my objects for sections, which means it's everything here. Select, and then start of section will be my clipping plane, tab, and then to the end of the clipping plane, and then enter. Okay, so now you should be able to see. Let me just move this aside. Just move this to say 20,000 away. And you can see very clearly here that, yes, it has generated a nice cut lines around it. And also some points which we can remove later on. Okay, so I'm just going to Control Z to undo it and leave it there. Okay, so I will take this one off. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch off my clipping plane, and I will select this model, and I will type make 2D. Okay, so make 2D creates a very nice diagram. We want to maintain source layers because I want the section to also have its own layer. We can group the output first just to make sure that everything is fine. I wouldn't suggest hidden lines because it will end up having to see a lot of hidden lines due to the fact that it will show hidden lines for every single object that is behind another object. Okay, so just leave it with this settings, click OK. It will take a while, depending on how detailed your file is. Oh, I realized that I have done it for the tree also, which potentially could take quite some time. If it doesn't do it within a minute, I will just cancel it and redo it without the tree. Or even just a part of the thing. Yes, maybe here. Let me just try to escape. I'm just going to limit it to maybe just this portion, okay? The as I'm going to load. Yes, I think yes, the tree is quite something by itself. So okay, it should appear here in your top view. Nice. So let's just check. It should have a 2D. All of this is moving 2D, and I should have my section cut layer. Didn't show all of this. Don't worry, we can redo this. Oh, here. So make sure that the tree is gone. Um, and I will set all of this in. Section should be switched on. Okay, it's active. Very good. And then I will the tree somehow appeared again, even though I didn't like it. Yes. Really? Oh, I realized there's a lot of lines here. Okay, I'm just gonna select this. Okay, landscape. We'll go back here, and then I will use the landscape. Switch off the landscape here. I will check here. And this one is the curves. It's in the section layer. Okay. So not so good. What I can do is I can select this like so, and then just hide it. Okay. I guess that's also could be what issues that you'll be facing in your own projects, but sometimes you have some dirty geometry. Okay, I think now it should be fine. Let's just select everything here. Make sure that the view is not locked, but I think we should be fine. Still quite heavy. We just cancel this. Okay. It's not even loading up. Oh, I think it was trying to do the autosave while I was doing this view projection, probably why. Let's just open back up the autosave then. 100% CPU. Wow. Hmm. I can't even go and. Oh, okay, finally. Yes, it's picking out too much. Wait, does this mean that this is okay now? I have this gumball now, right? No. So still not so good. Don't worry. So if this happens to you, just kill it. Yep. And then just start it again. That's why autosave is very good. It will save your life, literally. Especially when, yes, so just click OK. Then we should be fine. Nice. So that's back to where we were left off. So I'm just going to make sure that here in this view, properties, so you can just click on this and you will go to the camera view. So unlock this. And same thing, not going to be too ambitious here. I'll probably just stick to the top floors and then type make 2D. Click OK. Yes, so this is very fast. Probably there's something icky going down below. But the cool thing is, once this is successful, I can always just select this other half and then make 2D for this other half if it's successful. Yep. So you see, there's probably some heavy geometry that is below. And that's also how you will troubleshoot for your own models in future. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to close this. Control Alternate Delete. So I won't fix this here now. But if this happens to you, what you naturally need to do is you have to review your model in detail, especially if you have downloaded some warehouse, 3D warehouse, or imported certain 3D models, then yes, that would be where you will need to come back to. I hope it goes to the autosave. Oops. Okay, so one not so good thing about just now is we didn't go to the autosave, but no problem. Doing the clipping plane is super fast. So let me just make this shaded first. Okay, and then just create a clipping plane. And type clipping plane. I'm just going to make this, I'll just miss the tree then. Make it 3 point. Go here and go up. Select this, go to properties, go to make it into the perspective view. Okay, and I'll just change this to, oh, I don't have to change this anyway. So I'm just gonna move this down. Just put it to the front view. Okay, so this is my front view. I will select the front view, go to properties, select front view, change this to, unlock it first, change this to perspective, then you lock it, then you, oops, maybe just not locked it. So zoom in here. So make sure that this is the view that you like. Just change this to an easier model to make 2D. Not with the bricks, but with the curve. Okay, and then go back here, type, create a section tool also. Section, make this active, type section. So objects to make section of will be your stuff here, as well as here, enter. So start here, and end here, and enter. Okay, so those will be done already. We don't really have to check because just now we already checked. So what we just need to do now is to switch off the clipping plane. It should be on this layer. Okay, and then we will just choose the top parts to make 2D. Okay, and it should appear here, which is nice. Okay, so you have the drawing, and then you should also have like a section cut to it. Which will be select objects. Somehow I didn't read the section cuts, but that's okay. We can fix it in Illustrator. So another important thing is that now we want to create some kind of a shadow depth to this. So I can go here, right click, and I can go to rendered view. And I want to control the amount of shadows here. So what I do is I just type sun, and I can go to turn the sun on, and I can have manual control. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here. The sun should be up slightly, and I can rotate the sun around my model so that it produce nice dramatic shadows if I want. That is useful to explain my design. Yes, maybe something like this could be nice. Yeah, okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to file, capture, to file, and make sure this is transparent background. And then, yes, click OK. And make sure to save it as a PNG format. I'm just going to go to my desktop, PNG. And this is the BG render. Okay. Okay, nice. Then we will go back to our top view. And I'll just take this portion here. And I'm going to type export and export it as AI. Okay, save. And here is the part where I want to make sure that I want to have kind of like a scaled model. So I'm going to put this to be, say, 0.1 is to 0.01. So that's like a 1 is to 100 scale. And click OK. Now we go to Illustrator. Then we will maybe first create a new file and change this to mm. And I just want to make sure that, okay, I'll make it slightly bigger. So like 840 by 597. Okay, kind of like a A1, right? Okay, and then now I will just file import place my Illustrator sectional perspective. Place. Okay, so if that happens, no problem, just file open, because it's probably the format of Illustrator that is from Rhino. I just Control C and then I will paste here. So this will be the actual size of the building in the 1 is to 100 scale within your A1 layout. Okay, so having said that, we want to now place our image file, and I'm gonna place this behind. Okay, so this one is rather big, which is fine. Better bigger than smaller. So I'm gonna hold to shift to scale it down. And ideally what you should do is you should match it nice and proper. Okay. Okay, and yeah, this just takes a bit of adjustments, but you will eventually get the hang of it. Yep. Okay, kind of like that. Okay, so I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna Control X, create a new layer, move it down, and then Control Shift V, which is paste in place, so it'll be right at the same location. Okay, so I'm also going to select this, and I can change the opacity down. It doesn't have to be so overriding, because our important portion here is on the drawing itself. Okay, so I'm gonna, oops. So I'm gonna just take this also. I can crop the image. Okay, because I want to only, the rest does not have a drawing, so I'm just gonna stop. maybe somewhere here. Then apply. Okay, I don't need these lines, right? And yes, so now I'm gonna just zoom in here and we can start to play around with all this information here now. So I'm going to switch this off first and I'm gonna lock it so that I don't accidentally move it. So the first key thing is create a new layer. And I want to introduce this paint bucket tool to you. Um, the keyboard shortcut is K, right, which is the paint bucket tool. So as long as you are over an element that, oh, let me just switch this around and change this to gray, then I can paint certain portions. Let me just zoom in. Um, okay, so you have to select all from this particular layer, and I think I can do it in the next layer. Yes, so I select that layer to be active, and then I can click this, and then I can match all of this. Okay. Okay. Of course, just now we could also have cleaned that portion up, but that's fine since we already have this. I just do it in general so that you can get the main gist of it. Okay. So with that, you can already start to see your file taking shape, right? I think just now I sort of still did it within this layer, but that's fine. I can select everything here with Control A, or I can select everything here with this button. And I can change the stroke. So I can lower the stroke, say to 0.5. So now it looks even better. This new layer that I have here, I can lock this and I can begin to make emphasis. So for example, I want to draw like a thick like stroke around this. So then I can use a pen. Make sure this is the active layer. And then I can hold on to shift to make sure that it's locked here. And then shift. Yep. Okay. So when you zoom out, this one will look nice and neat. And you can repeat for the rest. Okay, so let me just unlock this. I can also just, you can also go in and clean up those small little lines here. Oops. Good. So it was grouped, so you can right click, isolate selected group, and then from there you can adjust this. You can delete them if you need to. Oops. Okay, so make sure that you select the isolate group so that you'll be able to adjust the drawing accordingly. Okay. Isolate selected group. Oh, or you can also just select them and ungroup them. Ungroup all. Okay. So once this is ungrouped, then you should be able to adjust this. My mouse cursor is not very accurate, so that's why it's a bit hard for me to aim. Yeah, but you can see here now that I'm able to edit the lines. Yes. Okay. So for here, you can just select this again, K, and I just put this here first, and I light paint this. Not to worry, I can just drop this and apply to this again. Okay, that's a quick workflow. So now that you have this, you can clean this up as well, but we can switch this on, and yes, I can move this. Now with this clearer, we can nudge this back down. Yes, and you will be able to add more of your details or your entourage here. Now, the last step is, so this one is my hatch. Oh, this one is my drawing. This one is like my render, and this is my hatch, right? So I'm going to create a new layer and say, for example, I want to have a call out of this portion, which is like probably the window detail, right? So what you can do, just draw a circle. So click on the circle, hold on to shift, make this opposite. And then I'm gonna change this to be black. Scale it up. And then now what you can do here is you will draw a line. Oh, in fact, let's just duplicate the circle first. So hold on to alternate and move it out, and then shift to enlarge to a scale that is good for you. Take this, draw a line, connect here to here, and then say here to here. So of course, this one, I can select them, select the both of them, and make this into a, let me just shift this out, dash line. And you can adjust how dashed you want it to be with the numbers over here. So if you don't see this, you can just right click and make sure that you show the stroke, or you can go window and also scroll down and find the stroke here. Okay, and the shortcut is Control F10. So this part, we can go back to our Rhino and you can zoom in to a particular portion. Say, for example, it doesn't really have to be the same sectional perspective. We could now take, for example, this part, and, and I can just right click here, or set view to a isometric view. It's nice and neat. Yes, so something like this. So this is what you usually see in a lot of those publications, right? In a parallel view, and you can take this whole thing like so and make 2D. Okay, and go back to your top view. So this is the make 2D in that drawing. Okay, so you can also further edit this within Rhino. This is to be integrated with your, what do you call, the AMT class, but probably you will need to draw a thickness to it. You can draw more guidelines here now, like so. Okay. So how I can draw this, I can just take this, can put a specific dimension. Maybe this could be like a 50 mm thick base, right? Same thing here. And because this is isometric, so it's definitely in the correct dimensions. If it's perspective, it would be in a correct dimension that you can draw. Okay, so why am I showing you this is that after you have drawn it like so, you can hatch this in Rhino too. So you can type hatch, select curves to hatch. You can take this and this and this, enter. You see here, it can hatch it directly for you. So we can choose maybe this nice pattern here. Let's see, does it look nice? You can adjust the scale, something like so. If you want to edit it, you can select this again, go to layers, change this to say 0.8. Oh, maybe to the 1.5. Rotation, you can change this as well, 15 degrees. Yes, so this looks nicer. Yep. So you can continue to do this, add more details to your drawing. And after that, you can select this and of course export and use the exact same options that I was saying, which is this 0.0 with a preserved model scale. But now we're going to make it a bigger scale. So probably this kind of detail could be a 1:20 scale. So that would mean that is 1:0.05 times 20. Okay. And I can put here, this is my 1:20. Save. Okay. And now I go back to Illustrator. File. Open. 1:20. Open here. Select this whole thing. Control C. Go to here. Control Shift V. And okay, so I forgot to create a new layer here. So I can just delete this thing first, and then I Control Shift V here. onto this layer, right? I should rename this. This is my 1 to 20 scale. This is just my annotation. So now I can just click this to select everything and move this to here. And you can always now, okay, so this one, just lock everything else so that it doesn't move. You can always take your circle, make it bigger. Like so. And zoom in here. And then adjust this. So if you want to adjust the points, the shortcut is to press A and it turns this instead of to the marquee for the moving of the entire line, you can move the guide points. Oops. So there was an original other point here, which I can just select and delete. And then I just draw my new line again. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So same thing, just adjust this a little bit more so that it's in the scale. Yep. Very nice. And then you can also begin to do your own annotations here. Like so I can be on this layer. You can type text and you can list here, this is like 1. And then this could be like what did we draw just now? 50 mm thick mount steel extrusion. Then the next one, number 2, could be timber pattern wall. Okay, always, oops, undo. Always make sure that your text is legible. So for A or A1, we have to go to type character. So I guess 18 should be fine. Okay. So you have all these labels here. And of course, we should go here and you can label them accordingly. How to do that? Maybe just to be neat, I will make another layer. And this should be on top. And this one should be labels. And same thing, I'm going to draw a circle. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make sure that there's a feel to this. So maybe like a light color, like so. And then I'm going to zoom in. And then I will create a text within this. So this is my 1. And I will select this and I can group them together. So right click and group them. Okay, so this one should be here. I can alternate and move this here. And now I can just double click in twice to type in a new layer, new label. And then it still has the grouping done all to it. Okay, so for here, I can select this. I can change the colors. Maybe I don't want it to have so many different colors. Can just make this into a black. Okay. The cool thing is you can expand this and everything is in their own individual sets from the original Rhino file. Yes, so that's basically it. So you can see here with this, of course, there's much more labels. So the text here could be significantly longer. Let me just simulate this for you. Oops. So usually this will have plenty of text, and then it will start looking out together much more like a nice presentation already. So if you're happy, you can just take everything out, as in unlock them. And the cool thing about Illustrator, you see here, I'm not even going anywhere to Photoshop. Create a new layer, and this could be my sectional perspective plus detail. I'm going to take all of this that we have done earlier just now, and I'm going to also hold on to Shift to select them, and then I'm going to slot them inside this main layer. So it becomes like a folder. So now I can just choose this always, and I can shift this around, right? And then you can add more of your renderings or whatever over here. Okay, so that's basically a quick introduction. Sorry for the earlier um, hiccups with the file, because it's quite a heavy file. You can skip through the video until this particular portion here. Yeah, that's essentially it. Happy playing.